My name is Joshua Prine. I'm a former admissions representative, or as Senator Mikulski might have preferred, a bounty hunter for Westwood College. Westwood is a for-profit school with 17 campuses around the country and an online division, which is where I worked. We were given a script that told us to tell potential students that they could only be accepted into Westwood by interviewing with and securing a recommendation from an admissions rep. In reality, there was no recommendation process and no standard for enrollment into Westwood. The interview process was just a psychological game to enroll students. Each representative had a quota of 2 students to enroll per week, and enrollment was nothing more than a completed and electronically signed application. Individual enrollments could mean paid time off or gift cards, and a successful year earned the top representatives an all-expenses paid trip to Cancun. Start consisted of a student who completed all their financial aid requirements and attended classes for the first 14 days. 14 was the magic number. I was told after 14 days, Westwood could keep the student's federal financial aid money, even if the student dropped out. It was this start number that determined salary and promotions. It was all about the numbers. With high numbers, the most successful representatives could earn about 3 times their starting salary. The emphasis on starts was brought home for me when I enrolled a student named Jeffrey. On Jeffrey's 13th day of school, he was called up from the Army Reserves into active duty. He called me to tell me and withdraw. I spoke to him and determined he was unable to attend school. I told my director, and she was furious. On her orders, I spoke to Jeffrey again and reached the same conclusion. My assistant director and then my director both called Jeffrey and pushed him to stay enrolled. She wasn't willing to lose the start, despite the fact it was clearly not in Jeffrey's best interest to withdraw before he was on the hook for his student loans. I was disgusted by such a flagrant disregard for the student, especially someone who was called on to serve in the military. Deception was built into the admissions department to avoid revealing the full $75,000 price tag for the online bachelor's degree. Some representatives would simply lie about the total cost. I overheard representatives say the final cost of education at Westwood was less than half the actual price. More often, representatives would tell the students the per-term cost of approximately $4,800 and let the student incorrectly assume there were 2 or 3 terms per year, like most traditional colleges. There was actually 5 terms per year. Constantly overheard representatives promise that federal grants would cover almost the entire cost of education and either make up or cite misleading salary information. To my knowledge, none of these lies were ever discouraged, and at times they were even encouraged. The most appalling example I can think of was when my assistant director of admissions on my team was presented with a Best Liar award at a team celebration. In training, we were told that, from the student's perspective, there was no significant difference between national and regional accreditation. I started investigating and discovered there was actually a big difference. Not only was there a higher standard of education for regionally accredited schools, but there was also a huge issue of transferring credits. Yet, for months, I'd worked under the impression that there wasn't much difference between national and regional accreditation at all.